Hello, friends. Welcome to my weekly Disneyland update. This is my favorite broadcast that I do of the week. I love the park. I love talking about it. There's some really fun stuff that we're going to get into this week. Some of it is kind of rumors. The last couple of weeks, we've had actual breaking news from Disney official. But this week, I thought I would take a couple of things that popped up and do a designer deep dive on could the rumors be true, and if so, how would they work? So I hope you enjoy today's Disneyland for Designer update. If you do, please smash like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff everybody tells you. They tell you that because it does help grow a channel. Let's get started today, shall we? So the thing that we're going to talk about is the Beauty and the Beast attraction that's being built over in Tokyo Disneyland. Earlier this week, Screamscape.com, which is a fantastic amusement park blog. I'm going to link them below in today's video once it posts after the live stream's over. They are a fantastic news source for all kinds of parks, not just Disneyland, but any park you can name. So if you're a Six Flags fan or you got a park by where you live, you'll be able to keep up with all the breaking news over at Screamscape.com. So they said that the Beauty and the Beast attraction that's being built in Tokyo Disneyland is possibly coming here to Anaheim. That intrigued me. I wanted to do a deep dive on it. Once you see this park, or this attraction, this Beauty and the Beast dark ride that's going there, you'll realize that it's beautiful and you'll want it to come here too. So let's look at the video that the Disney Parks YouTube channel released. Once again, link will be below. Let's look at this video. Let's look at how amazing the attraction is. And then let's try to make sense of this rumor. Could it indeed actually be coming to Anaheim? I hope so, but it brings a level of challenges with it. Let's jump in and watch the video, shall we? Okay, so this is a construction video that was released by Disney over on their Parks YouTube channel. There you can see the top of the castle that would be the Beast's castle. And just that beautiful Fantasyland facade that we've come to know. This is an image we'll be looking at a decent amount today. You can see that this is the render of the facade. And as we all know, the thing that makes Disney different than every other park is there's that beautiful facade that makes us think that we're going on the adventure, and then the show buildings are normally very, very far out of the guest eye, which creates the illusion. Most places you just see the track, you see people whipping around. Disney has a different spin on it, and that's their competitive edge that's been ripped off and kept them ahead. So let's keep moving here. Here's the beautiful facade of the little village that this attraction would live in. You can see up front different themed buildings, not too different than our Fantasyland. Here's an artist rendering. The artist renderings are my favorite Disneyland art. I love the potential of what could come, what's to be. All right, Ted Roblito, we speak your name. Thank you for your service. So what they're doing is they're taking us inside the world of Belle. They're letting us see everything that she sees, takes us into this world, and they're doing this in a similar way that they did in Disneyland Paris, which is with these new trackless systems. There you see one of the workers doing the front facade, more of that beautiful Fantasyland work that they do. I absolutely love this. I mean, the way that they can get in there and create stone and make things actually look old, and the patina that they add to things, it's phenomenal. That's what makes you feel like you're really in these worlds when they put them together. So there you go. You see guys just, taking a shingle and just adding that patina. She's probably spraying on multiple levels of paint. She's going to go in there and spread it around and just give it that scuff so that, it feels new and clean, but has that vibe of that it's very old. Jim Clark, we speak your name. Thank you for your service. So this is some computer renderings of the inside. This is a lot like the Ratatouille ride that they have at Disneyland Paris, where you run on a trackless ride. Now, what gets me excited about this is the future of the animatronics. And I know that a lot of the forward-facing attractions that we're going to see are going to rely heavily on image projections and big video screens. But that 3 layers of storytelling begins with real-world physical props, that we can see and feel immersed in, and then whatever is around them, that just makes the idea or the concept just keep going further and further. The animatronics we're going to see today are fantastic, which is really what got me excited about this attraction possibly coming out here. Megan Nikowski, we speak your name. Thank you for your service. It's amazing when you see the interior of one of these animatronics and just how much mechanics goes into it. Tara von der Linden, we speak your name. Thank you for your service. Who doesn't want to be Imagineer, Jeremy? I mean, what a fantastic job. So this computer rendering that we see that they figure out all of the motions, this is it in the real world. Look at that. I mean, I love that they're going for cartoon and not trying to make her look real. I think that has a lot to do with the animation really selling it to you. But just the moves, Leanna Zorn, we speak your name. Thank you for your service. I mean, look at that. Look at Belle there. Look at all the articulation. Just the flow between her and the horse. This almost looks bizarre when she's just talking and she's lifeless there. Now, these are the wireless track systems. Now, the great thing about a wireless track system is it gives you the experience to go everywhere that you need to go. A ride could give you different variables. You could ride something, 5 or 6 times and get a little bit of a different experience. It also allows for big show scenes where, lots of different carts can come into one room and see one big show at once. There's something interesting about these videos. The bottom of these teacups look transparent. I don't know if this is projected on here, but I found that to be interesting. That I don't know if that video is what it is. So there you go. Looks like that you could put 9 guests in one cart. That would mean single riders, because 9's a very awkward number. I've never been to Disneyland with 9 of my closest friends. Well, 8, including myself. Here's Ted, who's an absolute hero. So then we see the rendering of how we can move around and just literally come into some of these scenes, right? Like there would be an animatronic beast and some birds, but we'd get to flow around in that environment. Something else that's interesting about this video is they never show us the front of that Belle and Beast where she's in her ball gown. But this prop design, I mean, look at that chandelier. Think about how long it took to design that and to fabricate it all out. This is a big, what would be an animatronic scene. Now, when we see these guests go in, just imagine riding in this cup and you're spinning around and the world's all around you. The next part of this, when you think about the fact that you're flowing around them as they dance, and we've already seen how great the animatronics are. I mean, imagine being 8 years old and being a big fan of this cartoon and going in there and living in it. I mean, look at Belle right there. Just all of those movements. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, it's like, hello there. And this is just really flowing effortlessly. And then there we go. There's our final shot of the video. So that was something that got me very excited. And I'd heard a rumor that Disney was trying to bring lots of different, they're trying to bring similar things to similar parks, to try to make sure that every park had a little bit of what the other ones have. So this is the rendering that we're going to look at today. And so when Screamscape.com reported that this was rumored to be finding its way to Anaheim, that made me think, where could you fit something this big? Now, I know that it doesn't mean that we would get, per se, all of this village, but how would this work into our own Fantasyland? So let's take a deep dive on that from the designer's perspective and see how we can make sense of this rumor. All right, there's the building. I would have to say that is a guaranteed part of this build out. Right? I mean, you need to feel like you're going into the castle for the ride to feel real. So they wouldn't just take you into something smaller. So I feel like that is a guaranteed. Also, when you look to the left there, you see that mountain, that rock work. Rock work is Disney's best secret on creating fences and walls so that you don't see the other side of the park. Like when you're walking through the middle of DCA, you don't see the other half of the park because of the big grizzly peak that's right there. And rocks are also a great place to hide the show building when you think of cars over in DCA as well. Okay, so this is Tokyo Disneyland. This is going to get built in that racetrack area. That's where that facade, that village is going to live there right next to their Toontown. As you see in the front, they got a nice open walkway so that guests can flow into that. So it looks like a great spot, very, very close to the Tokyo version of Space Mountain. But Space Mountain just kind of has a cool vibe when you only see the tip of it. So I don't feel like that would completely break the magic. But that's the facade. Where will we actually go when we're in the showroom? Well, it's rumored that it would go out into the parking lot. And we're not really Done by Saturday is already ahead of me on this one. But when you look over at the show building, it's going to live somewhere out here in the parking lot. So they're going to get rid of parking, but they don't have to take any of the precious land that's inside of Tokyo Disney. All right, this is a second render of it where you see the Space Mountain that's over to the right of our screen. Then you see, I believe, which is going to be a theater that they're getting. I don't see us getting the theater, but then you see Beast Castle, you see the Rockwork, which means that's the show building, and then you see their Toontown. So you see it fitting in that little nook, but it looks so nice with that village that's all around it, and that's going to come more into my theory later on. So try to keep this inside your brain of how well that village just leads right up to the castle there. Okay. So I found online some construction photos. I couldn't find any overhead, and Google hasn't caught up yet. But I did find a website that took photos from the Tokyo Bay Hotel right there. So everything we're going to be looking at is coming from this view that I've just put up there on my deck. We see Space Mountain, which is our anchor point of something that already exists on the Google map. And then we see how big that castle is. And then to the right of that, that is going to be where this gets housed. That is an enormous sized building. It would make sense because what we saw is very in depth. This is coming to us from the Disney Tourist blog. Once again, I'll link their article below. This is the same photo probably on, looks like that's probably sunset. And you can really get an idea of the scale, which is going to kind of work against what Screamscape.com, that's hard to say fast, was theorizing. I mean, when we look at that, that's equal height of Space Mountain. Space Mountain is huge. We really get an idea of the scale of this. What's a little unfamiliar, though, is how much of this is that theater they're getting and how much is the actual entry point into their attraction. This also comes to argue, can a Disney park have two major castles? Does that become a conflict, or does it more sell the illusion of a dream? Comment below. Let me know. There's the showroom right there. Okay, let's go to Anaheim. So what was reported is the way that he wrote the article is that we might lose Snow White's Scary Adventure, which is a opening day classic from 55. So his theory was that it would live right inside of Sleeping Beauty's castle and our small Fantasyland. I'm going to go ahead and just use the front facade. We're going to ignore how much needs to go in the back because we don't know that we're going to get all of that facade. But just to give us a frame of reference, these two images that you're seeing were taken at the exact same 100-foot view over at Google Earth. Thank you so much, Google, for helping me out today. So if we just think about the facade, a portion of the facade being that big, and we also think about the dark being that big, let's think about that's not going to fit. We've already taken out Big Thunder Mountain. I mean, that is a massive amount of space that we would need, whichever way they would configure it. His other theory was that maybe we would lose Peter Pan, once again, another original, and that we might lose Toad's Wild Ride, which I feel like that one, because it's so antiquated, has a very short shelf life. But then there's also the newly reworked Alice in Wonderland that's up there at the tip of Fantasyland. Well, if we did this, we'd be getting way over into Matterhorn Mountain, which I don't see that happening either. Now, the theater, the Fantasy Fair Theater, where they show, what is it, Mickey and the Magic Map or whatever it is right now, it's not a super used space in the park. They cancel shows. It doesn't always have anything going on. It could fit in there. It would be nice because it would sit up high. You would be able to see the top of that castle kind of coming out from different directions. So it would make Fantasyland feel dense and tell the story more. But I don't know that leaves us much room for the show building unless you went into the castle there, got into a show building, which was in the extra space that they have for Star Wars Land, which there's no way they're going to give up any Star Wars Land future growth extension for something for Fantasyland, which brings me over to my theory. Autotopia. True, it is a opening day attraction. But true, it's not attach to anything other than Disneyland. There's not an Autotopia movie. There's not an Autotopia product line. It was just to give kids a chance to drive an automobile. But the way that the automobiles go, and even though it is a very interesting course, there's guardrails up, the cars go slow, it has traffic, it feels like sitting out on the 405 for kids, and it's not that exciting. But this parcel of land does have nice view lines. It also has a nice amount of water that would look beautiful sitting in front of a castle that has a bridge that you have to cross to get to it. If we were to think of sitting it in there like that, the facade, we know we're not going to get all of that facade. But if you think about minimizing that facade, it does appear to be that there would be room for our show building. I even masked it out like this so you could get an idea. Now, if you look over at Matterhorn bobsleds, that's a Fantasyland attraction, even though it's a thrill-seeking attraction. You've got the old boat dock over there. You could village that up very easily and just make that Fantasyland pilgrimage feel like it's consistently going in that direction. The submarines, I know, is a little bit of a disconnect. I feel like their day is numbered as well. It's the most expensive attraction to keep going because of all the water, and it has a very limited capacity of guests per hour. But that water, that body of water, would look really, really nice with the castle and some landscaping right behind it. When we look at this parcel of land, here I'm moving us out a little bit, I'm not mad at the idea of more fantasy sitting there. I have a theory that there's no reason for Tomorrowland to exist, because when you look at the renderings of the Marvel land that we're getting over at DCA and the future forward space look of Galaxy's Edge, Tomorrowland kind of seems like a sad version of more of the same. I wouldn't be mad with a massive Fantasyland expansion, meeting up with a little bit more Main Street, and give Disney a little bit of space to tell the story of Disney. Maybe a dark ride with vignettes that's consistently changing out based on what properties they want to showcase. A movie gets hot, they put in a Frozen 2 vignette. Movie dies down, they put back a Lady and the Tramp or whatever they had in there classically. That big circular building right now that's the Star Wars Launch Bay, that could hold a significant dark ride. Buzz Blasters, kind of a bad version of what we have over in DCA with the Toy Story attraction. Doesn't need to be there. You have to keep Space Mountain. That's agreed upon. But the theater is underused. There's going to be no reason for Star Tours now that the Millennium Falcon is going to be that on crack. Or that on, I don't know. That wasn't very family friendly. I apologize. Okay, so how would this affect our sight lines? Well, I did these amazing renderings, and I've been working on them for weeks to show you. But this is if we were standing outside of the Matterhorn Mountain. Wouldn't look too bad with the castle and some more trees there and maybe a little bit of rock work, right? I know that I'm at the complete wrong angle as an illustrator. It drives me insane. But it gives you an idea that it wouldn't be bad to see a little bit more Disney magic there. And on the other side, imagine standing at the Small World Mall, which is one of the prettiest parts of the park. Let's just add a little bit more trees, a little castle off to the distance. You could stand there and see Matterhorn, maybe a little. I don't know if you can see Sleeping Beauty from there in my mind's eye, but it would for sure keep the magic going. And now if we're standing over in Tomorrowland, which could be more Fantasyland, how rad would it look to just see the tip of a castle, maybe some trees, maybe a little bit of rock work flanking the opposite side of Matterhorn Mountain. So there you go. If it were to come here, this is my theory on how it could realistically be done, where it would fit, and how it would future tell the story of the park and keep the same past tense that we have of the immersion, not knowing that we're inside of Anaheim, which is a very hustling city. I mean, Southern California, way more dense than where Disney World's built in the middle of its own city, basically. So that's the first thing that I wanted to show you. Let's move on to some event news that popped up this week from Disneyland. Now, if you're an AP holder, Disneyland events kind of feel like they're trying to get more money out of you. Maybe these aren't the events that are for you, but if you're somebody who's coming in from out of town, these events can guarantee you a certain amount of experience. And if you're a local that got priced out of the current annual pass system, this might be a good reason to go back to the park. We'll start with Dessert Party. Dessert Party is now a premier way to see World of Color. They serve you some treats. They give you reserved seating up front. Therefore, you don't have to waste a lot of time, waiting around. So you get up front, you get a good spot. It's $75 a person. You already have to have a ticket to be in the park. It doesn't give you park entry. I'm pretty certain on that. But the good news about them announcing this is that World of Color, I believe as of tonight, is back. And that's good news for everybody because World of Color eats up a ton of people each and every night on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays, 2 groups of people, which then takes a lot of weight off of Disneyland and the rest of DCA. If you've never seen the World of Color show, it's absolutely fantastic. They have so many special effects, so many visual effects. I mean, you name it, they throw it all at you. But they have this really interesting technology where somehow they get a little drop of water to leak from your eye. How do they do it? Now, Heroes Assemble is going to be an event that will be on April 30th and May 1st. This will be the first ever Disneyland After Dark event that they're holding over at DCA. Basically, you'll get to go there and stay in the park 4 hours after it closes. What that means to you is that limited capacity in the park, limited amount of attendees there, you get more of the park to yourself. I've been to one of these specialty events before. Depending on the price, it's really, really a premium way to see Disneyland. If you've got young kids that are really into the superheroes, they're going to have lots of meet and greets. They're going to have special photograph areas set up. So this gives you a different way to experience the park. It's a VIP thing. If you're saving $800 on annual passes, this might be a fun one time of the year to go to take the kids out. They have dance stages everywhere, and you'll get to ride a lot of the attractions with little wait time. When they first did Guardians of the Galaxy, me and my friend went to this. We were able to ride Guardians of the Galaxy more time than our body could handle it. So I feel like that these are good if it fits into your lifestyle. If you only had to go to the park once a year, I would recommend in your local, buying a ticket for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party is a fantastic way to enjoy the park if you only get to go once. Really, really, really great. So I know that a lot of people feels like that it's just taking more money out of your pocket, but for the right audience or for the right budget, these are worth their time. Every time I've ever done this, or worth your time and worth your money, anytime I've ever done this, I've always really, really enjoyed them a lot. All right, I've got one last thing to show you today. And of course, it's more information about Star Wars. So this past week, some new drone footage linked out of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. It feels like it's a little bit dated, old. I'm not really sure where this came from. Todd Andrew, who I founded on his YouTube channel, he has a very small channel, I think like maybe 20 subs. Give him a follow. Thank you for letting us use your video. But I thought we'd go through this. It's about a minute's worth of video. I thought we'd go through this and sort of break down what we already know and sort of get a context of what we've looked at the last 2 weeks. By the way, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you're having a good time. I really enjoy putting these together. It kind of gives me a way to justify my obsessive every night deep dive to find some sort of Disney bedtime story to go to bed to. All right, let's cruise through here. All right, drone's taking off now. Fire up the chopper. Look at that rock work. I mean, I hate to get so nerdy about rock work, but just look at that. Look at the cuts and the rips in there and the patina, and the fact that it really looks like when you go to the Grand Canyon, you get lost at just how many different values and shades there are. And it tells a history of something that's been around for quite a long time. So if for whatever reason a nuclear missile ever hit Arizona or the Grand Canyon, that would be sad. Grand Canyon, is that in Arizona? I forgot because I got live stream brain. I don't know. Comment below. You know what state it's in because you're not doing this like I am. But if it ever went away, don't worry. Disney will rebuild us another one. All right. We're wrapping around looking at this facade that once again is hiding the showrooms. This is what I get excited about, is looking at those little spaceports, the fencing, the satellites, just all of that tells you that this is another planet and in space times. You really get an idea of the scale when the drone goes up like this. This is, I guess, pretty old footage because there's a lot of this that's already been built out, but it really gives you an idea of the scale. Jay Keefe writes in that the rock work over at the Avatar world in Orlando is breathtaking. And yeah, I mean, I don't even care about Avatar, but I would absolutely adore to see all that. Once again, you see so many different domed roof systems here. And that really kind of gives you a vibe that this is a different build out of a different land. We can see the Millennium Falcon attraction back there. This is the one that really got me excited. Look at that acid bath and I'm not even sure if these are rocks or like giant tree trunks that maybe got hit by a blaster and got burnt in half. But just look at that acid bath on there. It makes it look so real that it tonally has so much going on. You can see the little watch out tower right there that's on the side of the rock ravine. You can just imagine that somebody's job is to stay in there and to keep a look over the spaceport. Once again, the tonal differences. Imagine painting that thing on that scaffolding and you're face to face with it and you're trying to keep up with this pattern that looks breathtaking where we're at right now, floating 50 feet up in the air, 45 feet from your painting, and how effortlessly all of this looks. I mean, there's no way to see that from a distance. I know when I interviewed Tristan Eaton, he says he keeps up a GoPro on the other side of the parking lot so he can kind of look down on an iPad and see where he's at. There's no way you could do that with this. There's no place to put that GoPro, and there's no way to see the image when it's covered in all that scaffolding. Once again, we're just spinning around. We're looking behind this building, and just that's the layering of Disney. I mean, if you look right there, there's 3 different layers of storytelling. That's the immersion that makes you feel like you're not inside of a heavily populated U.S. city. All the little satellite work on there. You got the writing that's not from our world. I mean, this just looks so great. Spaceships. There's going to be a lot of different spaceships parked around this because, after all, this is a spaceport that we're going in, and that'll help tell the stories of either getting in the Millennium Falcon or doing the Rise of the Resistance. But just look at them build that thing. It's sitting up there on top of the building as if it could take off at any moment. That's like a troop transport with the open doors, kind of our version of the helicopters that went into Vietnam that remind you of every movie from that era. Chris, there's one of these in Disney World at Hollywood Studios and Disneyland here in Anaheim. I'm not really sure. I think that this is construction. Yeah, this is construction here in Anaheim because you can see there's mountains off to the distance and there's no mountains in Florida. For sure, this is Disneyland because you can see the Disneyland Hotel in the background there as you're coming down between this rock ravine looking at those buildings. It appear to be, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, about five stories tall. Look at that. When they bring the drone down like that and you're really inside the rock work, it makes it feel so environmentally real. And keep in mind that this is just a big curtain to hide a ride system from you. Speaking of which, I believe that's the exit. So a lot of us that were following along with the construction updates, we saw early on the steel construction work for the AT-ATs. That was something that was built when they were just basically building the whole Walmart-sized building that it lives in. So the AT-AT was the first notable or noticeable thing that was like, oh man, this is really going to be a Star Wars land. So we're seeing them put together the AT-AT there in the space, and we've seen the AT-ATs again in the video rendering of the video of people riding through, and that the heads are articulated and looks to be there might be some sort of like laser effect. Because I mean, if you're going to see an AT-AT, it's probably going to shoot at you. Here are inside views of that loading area that we talked about on last week's video. If you didn't see last week's video, you should go over there. I explain the idea of how you're going to walk through the attraction. I'm there with you, Jordan, a 30-minute. Look at that. That's the Millennium Falcon with the rock work behind it. I'm there with you, though, Jordan, a 30-minute immersion in that world, going inside of that showroom and just leaving Earth and feeling like you're a part of it. I mean, it's just fantastic. You know, I to me, one of the best parts of this is going to be walking through it and just getting lost in how it looks. And being a local, somebody that can kind of wait out, the busy times are going, the odd, weird times when nobody's there. I'm just excited to have this just to be a part of my life that I'll just get to walk through. I won't always wait in line like a maniac to ride this thing, but just to be able to walk through there on a Friday night in the summer is just going to be amazing. What a privilege. There we go. We're seeing for the millennium. There we go. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me with my Friday Disneyland update. We looked at Beauty and the Beast possibly coming out to the park. I gave you a little bit of information about what I know about the special events and who they work for, what budget they're right for. And then, as always, if Star Wars stuff is going to pop up, if we find new Star Wars stuff, we're going to explore it and look at it because what's more exciting than that? I hope you had fun hanging out with me. Make sure to go check out the podcast, Disneyland for Designers. We got an episode coming out this month where Jared and I are going to get together and look at one of the oldest attractions, do the deep dive on one of the oldest attractions at the Disney park. All right, I will be talking to you soon. See you at Disneyland. Carl, I'm still here. How are you? Do you need me to tell you more Disney stuff while you're putting on makeup, or do you need me to coach you through the makeup? Blush and foundation and blush and foundation. Don't forget to sculpt out that jawline. Don't forget to sculpt out that